Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Jim Kleiber Show. It's Thursday, January 7th, 2021, and I am feeling tired. Yesterday was a long day. I can't imagine how long it was for some of the senators or some of the representatives in the House. Whew! I went to bed at like 3 in the morning, I think. I wanted to stay up and watch and see what was going on and follow the news and really hear the speeches that many of the senators and representatives were giving. And I thought that the Senate was going to close quickly, that they were just going to object on the Arizona ballot like they had before, and then they were going to rush and kind of pass through everything else. But that didn't happen. I think one or two senators stood up and oh, funny. I haven't had a show since what happened yesterday. So, after I finished the show yesterday asking, do you trust the legal process? Apparently, there were quite a few people in Washington, D.C. who did not trust the legal process and who were listening to Donald Trump speak outside the steps to the Capitol, U.S. Capitol, and then proceeded to breach the U.S. Capitol and got inside the U.S. Capitol building all the way to the Speaker's chambers, all the way to the Senate floor, even sat inside the chair where the person who rules over the Senate sits, presides over the Senate, and pretty much ransacked the Speaker of the House's office, and took podiums and broke windows. One woman was shot and killed inside the Capitol building. Apparently 3 other people died. I'm not sure why. I think they said medical reasons, but I'm not sure what those were. The senators and representatives, I believe, were huddling on the floor to try to protect themselves. Had to be escorted and evacuated out of the building. And one senator, I think, mentioned that he watched some of his octogenarians or 80-year-old fellow senators having to be basically helped down the stairs in the evacuation by security. And then they reconvened afterwards, after the Capitol building was cleared. Finally, a large police force showed up. I believe police showed up from New Jersey, from Virginia, from many surrounding states, but also most of the police in D.C., plus I think the National Guard came out. They really pushed back a lot of the protesters, rioters, people that were causing chaos and destruction, whatever you want to label them. And the Senate and the House reconvened. And I heard Vice President Mike Pence give a speech that I don't know if I've ever heard him give before, where he stood there and he basically condemned the violence, the actions that had just happened. He blessed, he said, may God bless this group and that group and this group and that group. And then at the end he said, let's get to work. And he said it in a very angry tone. And I was really grateful for that. And then as the senators started to speak, because it was time for 2 hours of deliberation on the objection to the counting the Arizona vote, I heard many Republican senators stand up and join their Democratic senators in strongly condemning the violence, the attack on the Capitol building, the attack on such a sacred building in American history. I mean, I was in D.C. last year, and it was when it really hit me that the U.S. Capitol building is the center of the American government. It is the centerpiece. It is a magnificent building. And I imagine if I were a senator, if I were a representative, I could feel unsafe living in D.C. I could feel unsafe traveling throughout the country or going to other countries. I could feel unsafe in a lot of places. There are lots of death threats that these people receive, lots of anger, lots of harm that they may perceive outside. But I would think that the U.S. Capitol floor, like the Senate floor and the House floor, just the whole building, I think that these would be the places where they would feel most safe. And to have that safety squashed, to have people just running through the halls, not knowing if these people are carrying guns or people are carrying bombs or people are carrying who knows what. They could have been carrying some type of biological weapon. They could have been carrying so many different things. I don't know these people, who they were, what they were doing, and what their intentions were. I can't imagine what that might have felt like to be a senator or a representative at that point. And so I was really grateful that, in a way, it shocked them, it scared them, and it reminded them that we may disagree on so many different things in this country, so many things on the superficial level, but when we go deeper and deeper and deeper to get to our core values, we agree that this country is built on peaceful transition of power. I really liked how Lindsey Graham said it. He says, you know what, if Al Gore can accept a 5-4 loss at the Supreme Court over the election in 2000, then Lindsey Graham can accept a 4-3 loss in the Wisconsin Supreme Court over their election. I think it reminds me of this book. I think it's called Finite and Infinite Games by James Carse. And when we see something, like when we see politics as a finite game, it is this game, it's win-loss, it's something that needs to, there's a winner, there's a loser, and there's an end. The idea with an infinite game is that something continues and goes on. If we focus so much on who won this election and who lost this election and can go over and over again, it's not fair, it's not fair, it's not fair, it's not fair, then we don't pay attention to the next game. We don't keep playing, we stop playing. And the goal of politics is to keep playing. Yes, we have these little finite games in between, but keep playing. Don't stop. Stop for this game. Yes, this game has ended. The time is up. Joe Biden won the election. That's it. But there's another election. There's always another election. That's the idea. Let's have another election. Let's go. It's 2 years. 2 years and then 4 years for the president and, 2 years for some senators and representatives and maybe 4-6 years for other senators. Come on. Let's go. Keep playing. It really inspired me in many ways to see what happened after the conflict of yesterday. Because I think what frustrates me when conflict happens is that we will keep talking about how the conflict that happened in the past. Oh, but I don't want this person on my team. They did this and they did this in the past, and it's their fault that this happened. I don't care if it's their fault that this happened in some ways. Good. They've changed their mind. They've had a change of heart. Let's capitalize on the change of heart. I don't want to sit here and when they say, I'm on your team now, be like, no, you're not on my team. No, but they've changed their mind. Like, please, they've had a change of heart. This is the opportunity to bring them on our team, if you believe in this idea of teams. So I feel honored that I was able to watch the senators speak after this. Not so much the House of Representatives. I don't think too many people changed their mind or had too much of a change of heart over there, from what I heard. But listening to the senators speak, it sounded like they actually cared about each other. It sounded like the Republican and Democratic senators, for the vast majority of them, cared about the life of the other people in the place, that they thought they were on the same team, that they were united in being United States senators, that for maybe just a brief moment, they forgot that they were on different parties. They were human beings locked in a room, terrified that people were breaking in and wouldn't know who to shoot or who to kill. I hate that they have to go through a bonding experience like this to remind them that they're all on the same team. I wish they could just do regular team building activities. Why can't we have team bonding activities for people in the Senate and people in the House to remind them they're on Team Senate or Team House? Like, I don't wish such a traumatic bonding experience on them. And I'm grateful that they at least had a bonding experience. I've learned that I posted on Facebook and I sent something very cryptic about this is the opportunity for us to come together. Now is the time to come together and to forget what happened in the past and to move forward. And I would argue that, well, many of my friends lashed into me immediately. What are you talking about? Like, I love you, but I can't understand. What are you talking about? This doesn't make any sense. These people just attacked the most sacred building in our country. Other people, oh, this is both sidesism. Like, this is ridiculous. And then getting very angry. And I think I learned that the challenge in speaking cryptically and speaking quickly through the internet is that something may be so blatantly obvious to me what I mean, but if I only say it in 2 or 3 sentences, it may not convey what I'm really feeling. It may not disclose everything that's going on inside of me. And people may interpret it very differently, especially in the emotional context that they're in and I'm in. It happened the opposite way. I was in a group chat on WhatsApp and somebody... I got very angry and very heated when at the thought of somebody saying, oh, well, there were protests all over the country and nobody was protecting them. He used phrases like no one protected them or no one got arrested or nothing will happen or if you do petty crime, it will lead to serious crime. Very absolute statements. And I got furious. I haven't been this angry in a very long time. And in that fury, it's especially on the internet, it's very easy to overlook things that were written and not see it in the same way. That the little words can push me over the edge. No one was arrested. No one was arrested? That's a lie. That's not true. No one? I quick Google search. 750 people were arrested in Portland. I don't know what you're talking about. No one was arrested. And then I can get boiled up and really go over in this fury. And I think, again, maybe that's coming from him not communicating more loquaciously. It's a big word to talk about communicating big words a lot. I think loquacious means to communicate many, many words, to say something with many words. And So I was on both sides of that type of interaction yesterday, where I was the one getting very furious at what somebody said cryptically, and then I said something cryptically, and people got furious with me or with what I said. And just reminded me how much better I feel and how much more understood I feel when I actually open up and share what's going on. I eventually opened up more on WhatsApp to my friends and shared just the struggle that I've had this year. Being at home for 10 months, seeing my mom go through chemo, missing all my friends overseas and not knowing when I'll ever be able to see them again. Just so much of my life changing. And the friends and friends of friends dying, getting sick from COVID or losing their jobs and being so distraught economically. Like it's been a long year, man. And when I opened up and said, like, really, I'm furious, but underneath, I feel sad, I feel helpless, and I just miss my friends. And I think if we let conversations go, if we let the anger rise and then morph into something else, different emotions can show up. And if we take it to those places, we can show how much this event or these events hurt us. Think about what happened yesterday, and yeah, there's a lot of fury, there's a lot of anger in me for these people breaching the Capitol, and I think underneath it, it's just this maybe a sense of deep loss, having this belief that the United States Capitol should be one of the most secure buildings in this country. And we can't even protect that. Like, how are we going to protect anything, you know? Just how lucky we got that people didn't just go in there and start shooting or start bombing. Could you imagine what would have happened if someone came in there with a bomb? Or someone came in there and started shooting at the senators and representatives? Just even shooting up the walls and knocking down the sacred statues that we have in there. I was there last year. It's one of the, like I said, one of the most magnificent buildings I think we have in this country, if not the world. It is gorgeous. And to think that people would just, be able to waltz in there and do whatever they want and no consequences. There's the anger there because there's so much pain. I think anger is basically our body's response to stop something that is causing us so much pain and so much loss. So I try to find, what do I think I'm losing when I'm so angry? And I think losing the sense that the US government is invincible. I think it's about like losing the sense that the US government is immortal. I think my whole life I've never questioned that the US government will continue. Ever. That the government would stop, that the US government would stop, that there would not be a peaceful transition of power. I've never questioned that. A friend of mine on Facebook today said, oh yeah, this reminds me of the situation that happened in Macedonia or North Macedonia a couple years ago where some people stormed into the Capitol building and tried to stop it. I'm like, what? What happened in Macedonia is happening here in the United States? I guess I just never pondered that. And so to have that happen while I'm stuck in my house and there's not much I can do because if I go out, I'm terrified I'm going to get this virus. It's just kind of this ultimate feeling of helplessness. Yeah, so I'm trying to find what's the good in this. I reflected on this a couple days ago, doing a course with a friend of mine that he started, he and his friends, and they had us reflect on death. And what are the things that we lost last year? What are the things that we're still holding on to that we might want to let go of? And I think one of the biggest things I lost last year was the idea that my parents are immortal. Same thing. I've never really thought that my parents might die. But seeing my mom go through chemo, And again, having all this happen through COVID-19 and just being really worried about their health and what it might do to their bodies. Yeah, so it hurts me to think about that. At the same time, what can I take away from it? What do I gain in losing that? I almost gain more of appreciation for the sense of time, for the sense of the fleeting nature of life, the impermanence of it all, and to appreciate things while they're here. My parents won't live forever. I have an opportunity here to be at home with them right now, to really be with them. The U.S. government won't live forever. I have an opportunity to appreciate and to really soak in what the U.S. government is doing right now and doing for me, and to really just be grateful for it, to be grateful for this time in history. Because it may not always be here. And perhaps that's a healthy lesson for me to learn, that for most of my life I've taken for granted the fact that the U.S. government has existed, and maybe there's a certain motivating or energizing factor knowing that it may not always exist, that we have to fight to keep it alive. Just because there's a constitution, just because there's a U.S. Capitol building, just because there are these physical things in place, doesn't mean that they will last forever. We have to continue to work at it. We have to continue to repair. We have to continue to maintain not only the buildings, not only the yellowing piece of paper in the National Archives, but the relationships we have as a country, with our neighbors, with ourselves, with our family, with our friends, with strangers, with our fellow statesmen and countrymen. Because if we don't, it just fall apart. So, in a way, what happened yesterday brought me so much pain and so much anguish and so much anger. And ironically, it brought me some hope. That sometimes when we hit such a deep level, we realize we're all in this together. That we all might lose something we really care about. And I feel hopeful that we will work together. That we're back on the same team, at least for now. Who knows? It's the funny thing about hope. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but we think something good is going to happen. And that's where I'm at right now, and I want to ride it as much as I can. So thank you all for joining in today, and I hope this talk inspired you a little bit, and that, yeah, I'm grateful to have you in my life, even if I don't know who you are, even if we never talk. Because, again, we're all in this together, whether we want to be or not. We don't have much of a choice. All right, y'all. Take care.